Hey, everybody, welcome to this live episode of Think Business. I'm looking forward to talking with Nicole Morgan, the CEO of Resolute PR. Nicole, it's great to connect with you. I always love talking about PR. I think it's something that many people don't think about, and now layer on top of that, people need to be thinking about it differently, right? Because there's so many different mediums today and avenues to that you need to do PR too. So I appreciate you taking time to be on the show. Think community, I'm a business coach. I work with successful people, get them unstuck who are stuck. Today, Nicole's going to share some information with you to help you get unstuck and open your eyes about PR. Nicole, I thought we could dive into something that I think is a change for many companies right now. Many companies are using PR differently when it comes to recruiting. I see this as a business coach. I work with solopreneurs to Fortune companies, and the HR group and the way that companies are recruiting is just changing. Can you kind of talk on the role that you play with that?
Yeah, well, so traditional PR, a lot of times was focused on the customer and creating a relationship with the customer, having that two-way communication. And one of the audiences that a lot of companies have forgotten about is that internal customer. They're the ones who, they have the friends, they talk to people, they talk about their work and about the business that they work for and what that business stands for. And so you see a lot of examples of businesses that have had bad PR, bad culture, and it's really hurt businesses. And then when it comes to recruiting, it's not as simple as just posting a job anymore and hoping that someone's going to be looking for a job or looking for a change. We're really in an environment where employees have to be recruited and they have to be marketed after if you want to attract people.
Yeah, let's dive in to that a little bit more as far as the internal customer, because I think sometimes I think a lot of companies, I see this in my coaching world, they kind of forget about the internal customer. They're not really thinking about that companies, whether you have 5 employees, 10 employees, hundreds, thousands, or tens of thousands, you have a team of potential ambassadors that will be the greatest voice for your business, better than any posting you can do on social media. And so, can you talk a little bit about the internal customer and why PR is important internally?
Absolutely. I mean, everything that you just said, they are such a loud voice and they have a front
Yeah,
row seat. I mean, you can't pull one over on the internal customer of the employee. They
right.
see everything that's going on. They see what that CEO is like when they're not on camera or when they're not giving a presentation. So it's like your family. I mean, they see the good, bad, and the ugly. And no job is perfect. No place of business is perfect, but employees are really paying attention to how does a company react to these things when there are things happening in the world. What kind of a stance are they taking, or are they checking on me as an employee? Do they care about me and where I am in my mental health and my well-being, or about my advancement, or are they clued into what it is that I'm looking for in a career? Because people they rarely stay anywhere more than 3 years anymore. That's almost unheard of. And so to keep those employees and to attract new ones, you have to really be paying attention to that, to what is it that they're saying about the company? What are they saying to their friends? What are they posting on social media?
Yeah.
I think some of the old school way of thinking, and I'm approaching 40, so I feel like I get my way of thinking is a little more old school than a lot of the younger employees and students that I teach. On the side at the local university, they will talk about anything. They will talk about salary ranges. They will talk about benefits. There is no, there's no ball there, and feeling like those things are private.
Yeah, it's interesting because I think that there's such a market to just train companies to be more connected with all the different generations that are within their company. I mean, right now it's very typical that within a company you could have 5 different generations, and in many cases the Gen Zs and the millennials are driving a lot of that and make up for a large percentage of that. We're seeing that in how Starbucks is reinventing themselves right now, right? Based on those generations getting Starbucks to 70% of cold brew, which they never anticipated. So the internal clients and paying attention to what those internal clients are is so important. All right, let's talk more about external PR now, right? I think one of the things I think sometimes people get frustrated with is, nothing goes viral. And so talk about consistency with external PR and what that looks like, Nicole.
Well, there are so many more platforms to get your message out than there ever have been. I mean, even, I've been in this industry for almost 20 years. And when I started, it was pretty simple. You had your newspaper, you had like 3 TV stations,
right?
And then you had your word of mouth and like some grassroots stuff. Now, I mean, just like a social media alone, how many different platforms or businesses on? You've got TikTok. I mean, people can instantly go viral on that. But is it with the right audience? And then what message are you putting out on LinkedIn, which is a completely different audience?
Yeah.
You might be producing video content and, writing things on social media, or doing a traditional media interview with a reporter, which is also still very valid. And so when you're in that many places, it is more important than ever that the message that you're putting out is consistent, that you're saying the same thing, so that when someone hears about your brand, that it is very clear to them what you're selling, who you are as a company, and why they should work with you over anybody else.
Yeah.
Because everybody has competitors. I don't care what your business is. When someone tells me we're the only ones who do this, it's not true. There is someone else who is at the very least a perceived competitor. And so that is like rule number 1 of breaking through that, is you have to be consistent with what you're putting out.
Yeah. Consistent. I love what you're talking about. I love everything you're talking about. I want to talk about messaging and simplicity. I think it's very complicated to get to simple and simple, clear messaging. Talk a little bit about maybe something that you see as maybe clients trying to rush the process and versus make sure they get to simple and clear and concise, so the person who's actually they're trying to talk to can kind of connect faster.
Yeah, I love what you said about rushing, because there's just this sense of urgency in society, isn't there?
Yeah.
Like people just want to get to whatever it is. And if you hire a PR firm or you bring someone in house, it's like, well, I just want to be in the news. I just want to have this article out. I need to get the word out about what we're doing, or and they just want to jump. And you're so right that if you will take the time to stop and to really think about what you're saying, even in just a media interview, you're going to be so much better prepared. In the heat of the moment, if you're doing an interview, everything you say is on record. And so you better be pretty darn sure about what you're putting out there and the message that you're giving them. Stop and think about, okay, what are the 3 things that I want this reporter to walk away from this interview with? If they write one thing about my company, what is it that I hope they write? Because they've got a very limited amount of time to write it in, and there are other sources they're talking to. So before you really implement any of that, you've got to stop and you've got to make sure that you understand what is the core message that you're trying to get to. And you're absolutely right. The more simple, the better, because people don't have the patience to even sit and watch a 30-second video anymore, which is crazy. But we're like goldfish, we've got like 3 seconds and then we're done.
Yeah, less than 7 seconds. A goldfish is the attention span. But it's true. I mean, people don't read, they skim, they watch video, they don't listen, they read the captions. I mean, and who knows what it's going to be like 6 and 12 months from now. Well, yeah, I appreciate all your insight. Quick speed round. You ready, Nicole?
Okay.
All right. A book that's had the biggest impact on you.
Ooh, oh gosh, I'm like blanking on the name. Shoot, Radical Candor.
Oh, good one. That's a good one. Yeah, I like that book. Best piece of wisdom you've ever received.
Oh, that if you don't know the answer, it's okay.
Yeah, that's a good one. That's a good one. And finish this sentence. Someone who is brand new to PR, the first step to getting started is? Well, it kind of goes along with the last one, but to not feel like you have to know all the answers. This is an industry that is changing so fast that what you know today may not be applicable tomorrow. So you never stop learning. I love it. Nicole, tell people who your ideal clients are and how they can connect with you.
We work primarily with small businesses and social services, and you can get a hold of us at resolutepr.com and on social media.
I I love it. Think community, we talked about, finding one thing from this talk with Nicole to help you get unstuck. Nicole, you shared a ton of great stuff. I just want to kind of extract one thing, which is we have ambassadors. We have internal ambassadors and we have external ambassadors. Don't get lost in numbers, get lost in consistency and the right numbers. If you have 2 followers and one is an ambassador, then you're in better shape than someone who has 1 million followers and no ambassadors. We want internal and external ambassadors to refer us business. I get asked this as a business coach all the time. How can I grow my business faster? Well, one way is to make sure that you have ambassadors out there singing your praises who will ramp up people who will work with you because they build your credibility. Internally, I think a lot of companies forget about those internal ambassadors, and externally we're marketing to people and reaching out and working with consumers to give them an incredible experience so they become ambassadors. PR is such a great thing. It's the long game, and I appreciate, Nicole, you sharing your wisdom today. Then community, if Nicole can help you, Nicole, give me your website one more time.
resolutepr.com.
All right. And if I can help you with any coaching needs, check out johndwoskin.com. Nicole, it was a pleasure. Thanks so much.
Thank you.